In this video, we're going to see how we can create a great looking animated hero section for your websites. Something like this. Now this is just one simple example of what you can do, and in this video I'm going to show you the tools that I've used and how you can do it. The cool thing is, while I may use bricks to actually create the end design, you can use whatever you want. If you want to use Elementor, any other tool, code it by hand, or even use AI to do it, you absolutely can do. The more important thing is how you create the video and how you implement everything from that point on. So what we're going to use is Higgsfield. Now this is not sponsored in any way, shape or form. I'm paying for this so I can test this out, create videos and show you how to do it for yourself. So we're going to be using Seedance 2 alongside Nano Banana. We're going to use Seedance 2 because it is currently probably the best video tool inside any AI. And we're going to use Higgsfield because basically this is a platform that has all of these different tools as part of it. So you pay one fee per month, per year if you want to do it for a year, and then you have access to various different tools. So if we come over and we come into, for example, into image, you can see there's a huge amount of different image options here. Same go for video, same go for audio and beyond. We're going to start off with the image though, because we want to create a starting point image. If you've got something supplied by a client or something you want to use, you can skip this step. But if you don't, this is a good way of at least getting some proof of concepts together. So if you come into Nano Banana, all you need to do is simply come down and you can generate from here. So I've got a prompt inserted in here. You can specify the aspect ratio, the tools you want to use. We're going to use Nano Banana 2 because it is currently probably the best. You can specify the resolution you want. So we'll go for 2K in this example, and the number of iterations you want. So let's go for 2 so we get a little bit of variety. So now we can hit generate. That will know, go and generate 2 different versions based upon our prompt. You can see I've already done it once, so let's take a quick look here. This is what I came up with for this particular example. We're going to use this as the starting point. So once you've got your image, simply download it. We can use this then as a reference. So this time, if we come over into the video section and come into Seedance 2, so you can see I've already got a couple of examples here. You can see I've been testing a few things out. There's the one we just saw as the example. If we click on it, go take a look. You can see there's the video. It's got audio and so on. So we can see how that works. That's pretty cool. But let's start with something new. First of all, we want to use the image that we just created using Nano Banana. Or if you've got alternatives, use whatever you want. I'm going to click to add that in. So we're going to upload our media. That will check the content then to make sure it's fully eligible. There's no copyright issues or anything. Once it's finished checking the content, you can see that tells me it's eligible. We'll click to add that in, and we now have our first frame. Now, this is just a very simple one. If you wanted to have different frames, different sort of starting points and end points, you can absolutely do that. That's kind of what I did with this video, an exterior shot and an interior shot. But for this one, just to keep things relatively simple and straightforward, let's just go through and use this single image. Underneath, we can give it a prompt. We'll come back to that in a moment. Element basically means you can reference any of the files that you upload. So if you do the @ symbol, you can see that shows us image 1. So we could reference that. So if you use multiple source images, you can specify where you want to be using those inside the prompt. We've only got one, so we don't need to worry about it. But if you had more, just know that you can use the @ symbol to reference those. If you wanted to use audio, which could be music and or sound effects, you can choose to turn that on or off. You can see it doesn't actually make any difference whatsoever to the actual cost. Then underneath the model we're going to use, we can use Seedance 2, but if you wanted to, you've got other options here. Seedance 2 Fast will give you slightly worse results. It'll be a bit faster to work with. Kling, and so on. So you've got various different options here. Kling 3.0 was previously probably the best one, but right now Seedance 2 is definitely the one that's hitting the mark. Then you can choose how long you want the video to be. You can see we can go all the way up to 15 seconds or all the way down to 4 seconds. I'm going to leave this to about 6. That's probably long enough for what we want. Then you can choose your aspect ratio. All the different options are here. If you leave auto, it'll basically take a look at the source images you provided. Then come down and we've got the resolution. Now currently we can do 480 or 720. We can obviously upscale if we want to afterwards, but we'll leave this at 720 for now. And as you can see, then it tells us how much this is going to cost. So I'm going to put a prompt in. We're basically to say have the fruit fall from the top of the screen to land all around the bottle, water droplets going into the air. The fruit should come to a standstill by 1 second before the end of the video. I'll explain why in a moment. But now we've got everything in place, we can click on generate and let it go and do its work. So we'll click. And this will take a few moments depending upon how busy things are. It can take a couple of minutes. So we'll come back once this has finished. There we go. After probably about 2 minutes, there's our end result. Let's play this. Looks pretty cool. So we've got what we need. So what we need to do now is go and download this. So we'll just choose to download. There we go. That's downloaded. Now, if you wanted to upscale this to get higher quality, which you may want to do, you can simply come into the video options, and inside here, you've got options for upscaling. So we can go to video upscale. You upload your media. Once uploaded, then you can choose what you want to upscale it to. So you can see we've got different models. I would recommend using Topaz Video. It's probably the best one. And from there, you can specify whether you want to go to 1080, 2K, or 4K. I'm going to leave it as it is because it's perfectly fine for what we want, which is a hero section of a website. But should you want to, you can upscale it from here. So with all uploaded, we're now ready to create our page. Now I created a blank page in Bricks, and all we're going to do is add a new section in. From that section, we're going to select it, come over into our style and into layout. And from there, we're going to come down and set our height to be 100 SVH. I'm going to say a maximum height of 1080 in this example. I don't want it to be bigger than that. So once we're inside there, also select the section, come over into our content, and we're going to set this to be centered. So now any text that we include inside here will be centered inside here as well. So with our section still selected, let's come over to our styles. Let's close this down and come into our background. And you can see there's our background video. Let's click inside there. We'll paste in the URL to our MP4. And you can see there's our video automatically playing. So underneath, we've got some options here. So aspect ratio, scale, start time, end time, and so on. But we want to specify this plays once. So once it finishes playing, it'll then just sort of stay there and just hold that last frame. So then we can use that to animate over the top of it. So we know this video clip is 6 seconds in length. So we know that any animation we want to do will come on after that 6 seconds. We need to create a delay. Before we do, let's come into our container. Let's add in some text. We'll add a heading in. We'll add another heading in, and we'll keep it at that. You can add whatever you want in buttons. It doesn't really matter. They can all be animated. Select our container, contents. Let's set this to be centered. Let's set our heading, and we're going to set this to be H1. Set our second one to be H2, so semantically we are correct. Styling doesn't really matter so much here. So with our heading 1, we're going to change this over. We'll pop in some text. We'll come into our heading, our second one, and we'll just pop in something else here. Quickly apply a bit of styling to these. So now we have our text. Now obviously you can't see particularly great here, so what we can do is we can come out to our section, come into our gradient overlay, and from there we can set this to be overlay, and we'll just apply a color. We'll just use black in this example, and we'll adjust the opacity just so we can see the text a little better without totally obscuring the background. That looks pretty good. Now also you could animate this as well. You can get, like I say, as creative as you want to, but I want to show you the technique and then you can kind of go to town on it yourself. What we have now is we've got basically an animated background with some text, the static of the top of it. We want that text to be off there to let the video play for the 6 seconds and then animate things on after that 6 seconds. So to do that, we're going to select our heading. I'm going to come over into our CSS, and I've got a little bit of CSS that I'm going to put down below so you can use. So what this little code snippet does is basically set some keyframes up. In other words, it's going to say a fade in and up. So it's going to fade in and up on screen. It's going to set the opacity to, so it's going to go from a 0 value to a full opacity. So it's going to go from transparent to fully opaque. And then any translation. It's specifying exactly what it's going to be attached to. And as you can see, we've got an ease in, out, forwards 6 seconds. So in other words, it's going to wait 6 seconds before it actually animates on. So what we're going to do now is going to come to the second heading. We're going to put that same little bit of code in, but we're going to change this to 6.5 seconds. So we just have a staggered delay on there. So now with that in place, let's save this. Let's preview it. And then you can see we now have the video playing, and when the video comes to a stop, we have our text animating in. These create incredibly eye-catching hero sections or other parts of your website where you have something just a little bit more interesting than just your boring old standard slider or a video with nothing else going on. The animation adds that extra little layer to it, and having it set up so it comes to a sort of standstill after an X period of time means that you can set things up like this to create a much more engaging looking hero section. Now, hopefully you found this useful. If you have, drop a comment down below and tell me, have you used this kind of technique or would you use this in the future? Let me know down below. As always, all applicable links are in the description. My name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.